How to earn people's respect. Even before you say anything, Machiavelli respect begins as unease, not admiration. Respect is not born from speech or displayed competence. It is born from the latent sense of danger others register when you remain silent. Silence signals that there is something withheld, something not yet revealed, and the human mind treats the unknown as a potential threat long before it treats it as harmless. Society teaches a comforting script. Speak gracefully, prove your worth, explain yourself so you may be understood. This narrative is designed for those who occupy weak positions, those who require permission to exist within a structure. In the real mechanics of power, the one who speaks too much is usually compensating for low position, and the one who must constantly demonstrate value has not yet been accepted as valuable. When you enter a space and say nothing, people are not listening, they are measuring. They observe your pace, your eye contact, your breathing, rhythm, the distance you keep from others. In those seconds, they are not deciding whether they like you. They are deciding whether you are a threat or merely background. The common belief claims that respect flows from clearly presented achievements. The reality is, colder achievements are only evaluated after position has already been assigned. Before you open your mouth, the other person's nervous system has placed you on a rung of an invisible hierarchy. That placement determines whether they listen, challenge, dismiss, or test you. Words are not the foundation of judgment. They are cosmetic layers applied to a decision made in the first moments of contact. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is the refusal to give others data they can use to control you. When you have not spoken, they do not know what you want, what you fear, or how badly you crave validation. That absence creates pressure. Humans do not respect the loud. They respect the unreadable. Those who reveal no need are difficult to manipulate, and difficulty commands caution. People fear attackers less than they fear those who have not yet revealed intent. Respect emerges when others sense that you do not need them to justify your presence in that space. You do not beg for attention, compete for airtime, or rush to generate warmth. You stand there as an unsolved variable, and their minds are forced to allocate resources to tracking you. That cognitive tax is the first payment of respect. The belief that speaking well earns respect produces articulate individuals with no weight. Weight does not announce itself. It is felt. When you have not spoken and others already lower their voices, adjust their behavior, or wait for your reaction, respect has already formed without introductions, without explanations, without proof. The beautiful lie. Society constructs a story that is pleasant to hear. Be kind, be agreeable, be emotionally accessible, and respect will follow. The story is not false in terms of surface order, but it is engineered to keep the majority manageable. When everyone is busy pleasing one another, no one dares to apply pressure. And where pressure is absent, power remains frozen in the hands of those who already possess it. Harmony is not innocence. It is a containment strategy. Those raised on this elegant narrative misunderstand the nature of respect. They confuse respect with affection. They believe that if they are pleasant, friendly, and open, others will value them. In reality, society only welcomes such traits when they pose no threat to the existing hierarchy. Warmth is tolerated because it is safe, and what is safe is not respected. It is utilized. Safety invites consumption, not deference. This is why society endlessly praises communication, emotional intelligence, openness, and soft skills. These traits encourage self-disclosure. When you disclose, you reveal need. When need is visible, position drops. The system does not require you to be silent and unreadable. It requires you to speak, explain, justify, and ask. In doing so, you place yourself in a reactive role, responding to expectations rather than shaping them. You become legible, and legibility is the enemy of leverage. The uncomfortable truth is this: society does not reward those who are liked. It rewards those who are difficult to replace. And those who are difficult to replace always carry an invisible distance. That distance is not arrogance. It is the absence of urgency for approval. The beautiful story despises distance because distance creates hierarchy. Hierarchy implies above and below, and that implication destabilizes the emotional comfort of the crowd. So society trains you to collapse distance as quickly as possible. Shake hands, smile, early, speak often signal friendliness. Yet every time you do this too quickly, you are informing the room that you need acceptance to feel secure. No one needs to say it out loud. It is felt instantly. And once it is felt, respect cannot form no matter how competent or intelligent you are. The beautiful story produces people who are polite, adaptable, and socially fluent. It does not produce people who force a room to recalibrate around their presence. Power in lived reality always aligns with those who alter the environment by existing within it, not with those who try to dissolve into it. The instinctive calculus. Human beings do not respond to morality. They respond to advantage and threat. Every social interaction is a silent audit. What can this person take from me, and how much damage could they cause if I misstep? What is spoken aloud is merely a civil fard. The real decision is made at the instinctive layer, fast, cold, and largely unconscious. When you appear before someone, their nervous system immediately compares positions. Not good versus bad, not kind versus cruel, but higher or lower within an invisible hierarchy. This comparison requires no dialogue. It is executed through how you occupy space, how you hold eye contact, how slowly or not you react. If you signal a need for acceptance, they will instinctively place themselves above you. There is no malice in this. It is a survival reflex. Envy is not a moral failure. It is a defensive mechanism. People tolerate those beneath them who speak often and explain themselves. What unsettles them is the quiet individual who remains solid without signaling effort. That person provides no data, no openings, no ladder to climb. Caution follows. And from that caution, respect often emerges not from admiration, but from restraint. People also fear being forced into a reactive position. When you speak excessively, you may appear to lead, but you also expose leverage points. When you remain silent, others are compelled to fill the void. In doing so, they reveal themselves, they rush, they over-clarify, they joke, they seek to ease tension. In that moment, the axis of power tilts even if no one acknowledges it. Human nature does not trust presented images. It trusts the sensation of control. Those who make others feel evaluated rise above them. Those who make others feel comfortable fall below them. This is why the overly friendly are rarely respected, while the quiet and unyielding often provoke caution. Respect is born not from warmth, but from uncertainty that cannot be resolved. You do not need to perform anything dramatic to earn respect. You only need to withhold psychological gratification long enough. When the other person does not understand you, cannot predict you, and cannot identify your needs, they place you into a category that requires monitoring. And in the human mind, what requires monitoring cannot be dismissed. The nature of dark stability. A dark personality is not cruelty, nor is it the theatrical menace adopted by the weak to appear dangerous. Dark is a psychological position. The ability to act without being loved, to exist without being understood, to hold ground, without seeking approval. The moment you no longer depend on the emotional responses of others, you step outside the most common channels of manipulation. Most people are governed by the hunger for validation. They calibrate their words, expressions, and behavior to avoid negative judgment. A dark personality severs this chain not by rebellion, but by non-participation. You do not strive to please, nor do you seek to provoke. You simply remain where you are without explanation, justification, or correction of minor misunderstandings. That lack of reaction generates pressure. Pressure reshapes hierarchy. Darkness is not an aesthetic of coldness. It is internal stability in the face of social emotion. Praise does not inflate you. Discomfort does not shrink you. This steadiness makes you unreadable, and what is unreadable resists control. People only dominate what they can predict. A dark personality disrupts that predictive capacity. Someone who does not need to be loved naturally maintains distance. This distance is not a performance of superiority. It is the preservation of leverage. When you do not rush to connect, bond, or prove yourself, others are forced into a quiet question. Am I being evaluated? The instant that question arises, initiative leaves their hands. A dark personality is also not aggressive. In fact, it removes the need to win through speech. You do not argue to dominate or rebut to save face. You allow others to speak long enough to reveal their position. In your silence, you observe detached, emotionally unentangled, unmoved by minor social games. Observation, when combined with restraint, is a form of power. Society resists dark personalities because they do not synchronize with the collective emotional rhythm. They do not smile on cue, react on schedule, or apologize unnecessarily. This deviation creates a sense of latent danger, not the danger of violence, but the danger of non-manipulability. And in human systems, those who cannot be manipulated are respected long before they are understood. The mechanics of decision. Power in real life does not operate through words, it operates through decision rights. Who sets the tempo, who determines outcomes, who makes others wait. In work, authority does not belong to the most knowledgeable, but to the one who can delay, interrupt, or end the game without asking permission. In money, power rests with the person who does not need the transaction to survive. In relationships, power belongs to the one who can leave without explanation. Most people believe power comes from demonstrating value. In reality, value only carries weight when access to it is uncertain. When you are overly available, easily read, and quick to disclose, you convert yourself into an open resource. Open resources are consumed, not respected. People are only careful with what might disappear. The structure of power always places the initiator above the responder. But initiation is not speaking first, acting first, or presenting first. Initiation is control over one's reactions while allowing others to reveal theirs. When you remain silent at the correct moment, when you do not rush to fill space or confirm alignment, the other party begins to adjust. They speak more, explain further, concede subtly. All of this occurs before you have made a single demand. In professional environments, the respected individual is not the most industrious, but the one whose decisions carry consequence. They do not raise their voice or argue at length. Their presence alone forces consideration. In social dynamics, the powerful are not those most loved, but those whose absence creates tension rather than relief. When they are not present, something is missing. Power avoids noise. It favors stability. By refusing to be pulled into collective emotion and by delaying reaction until necessary, you position yourself as an observer rather than a participant. And in every system, the observer holds advantage because they see the game while others are still playing it. People do not respect you because you threaten them with action. They respect you because they sense you are not compelled to act. You have choice, and that choice is not contingent on their feelings. The moment they perceive this, the axis of power shifts without a word being spoken. Why the good lose? The good do not lose because they are unintelligent. They lose because they play the wrong game. They assume that honesty, kindness, and goodwill will be reciprocated by the system. That assumption is strategically flawed from the outset. Power does not reward intention, it reacts to position. And good people routinely place themselves below others by exposing their need for approval too early. The first mistake of the good is believing that transparency creates trust. In reality, excessive transparency creates controllability. When you explain your motives, disclose your emotions, and outline your struggles, you hand others a psychological map. From that moment on, they no longer need to infer. And what does not require inference does not command respect. The second mistake is reacting too quickly. Good people fear tension, misunderstanding, and negative judgment, so they rush to respond, rush to clarify, rush to correct even before an accusation exists. This reflex places them in the role of the follower. In any power dynamic, the follower remains below, regardless of how correct they are. The third mistake is confusing morality with leverage. Good people believe that being right carries intrinsic weight. It does not. Right and wrong only matter when paired with the ability to produce consequences. If you cannot refuse, cannot walk away, cannot impose loss. Your correctness is merely an opinion. Opinions are heard when convenient and ignored when costly. Good people further weaken themselves by giving first. They assume generosity creates obligation. In practice, unconditional giving creates expectation. When you are always available, always accommodating, always understanding, you train the environment to treat that behavior as default. And defaults are not respected. They are exploited. The core issue is this: good people want to be loved before they want to be respected. But in reality, respect comes first if it comes at all. When priorities are inverted, every subsequent action is misaligned. You speak well, act ethically, behave gracefully, yet occupy the wrong position. And in a game where position determines outcome, standing in the wrong place guarantees loss, even if you did nothing wrong. The Machiavellian frame. Machiavelli never taught people to become cruel. He taught them to stop being naive. Naivete is not trusting others. It is believing the world operates according to the values it publicly proclaims. He confronted the reality that power is not a moral contest, but a game of perception, fear, and interest. Those who fail to understand this become pieces moved by those who do. The Machiavellian frame begins with a cold premise: people judge you before they hear you. Therefore, what matters is not what you are right about, but where you are placed in their mental hierarchy. Every action, every word, every pause must serve the preservation or elevation of that position. When position is high, speech is unnecessary. When position is low, speech only exposes weakness. Within this frame, respect is not requested. It is a byproduct of low vulnerability. Low vulnerability does not mean emotional emptiness. It means refusing to let other people's emotions dictate your behavior. You do not react to soothe. You do not explain to be understood. You do not concede to maintain harmony. Each time you do, you pay with power. Machiavelli understood that social order is sustained through image. The strong do not need to display strength. They need to be believed capable of consequence. Strategic silence, delayed response, and indifference to approval all contribute to that image. It is not the image of a villain, but of someone who cannot be pushed aside easily. The Machiavellian frame does not ask you to change your nature. It demands that you abandon illusion. The illusion that being good, correct, and decent guarantees fair treatment. Fairness is not a natural function of power. Power recognizes only those who understand the rules and are willing to play without tying their own hands with comforting fantasies. Through this lens, it becomes clear why some people speak little and are respected, while others speak eloquently and are ignored. The difference is not virtue or vice, but restraint. The former do not place their value on the negotiating table through words. They allow others to feel their weight in silence before language ever enters the room. The cost of darkness. A dark personality is not a costume to be worn for effect, and applying it halfway is the fastest way to destroy yourself. When you imitate the surface without paying the internal price, the system pushes back. Silence paired with anxious eyes, distance paired with a hunger for acceptance, these inconsistencies are detected immediately. People do not read behavior, they read coherence, and incoherence smells like weakness. The first warning is isolation. When you stop moving in sync with collective emotion, you are no longer pulled into comfortable circles of intimacy. Invitations thin out. Conversations shorten. Eyes become cautious. If you require closeness to feel real, darkness will collapse you from the inside. It demands the ability to stand alone without an audience. The second warning is misinterpretation. Others will label you cold, arrogant, or inaccessible. A dark personality does not shield you from social judgment, it attracts it. If you still need to be correctly understood, to clear your name, to explain your motives, you will dismantle your own leverage to soothe your ego. The moment you do, the entire structure falls. The third warning is emotional discipline. Darkness does not permit careless emotional release. You cannot maintain position while allowing emotion to steer your actions. If you use coldness to mask anger, it will surface eventually. People are not afraid of anger. They are afraid of instability. Instability is the death of power. The final warning is simple: darkness is not for the majority. Most people need to be loved to remain psychologically intact. They need positive feedback, affirmation, and belonging. A dark personality cuts off that supply. Without a strong internal structure, you will not gain power, you will enter emptiness. This path is not designed to make life easier. It makes life colder, clearer, and less forgiving. Anyone who steps onto it while still craving warmth will be consumed by the very posture they tried to use as protection. The fork in the road. At this point, there is no question of right or wrong, only of position. No one forces you to become unreadable. No one compels you to maintain distance. But no one guarantees respect if you continue to live on the currency of approval. Two paths always run in parallel, and there is no third path that reconciles them. One path is to be loved. On it, you respond quickly, explain clearly, and adjust yourself to the emotional climate of the room. You read others' feelings before you read your own position. You exist to soften, to connect, to ensure no one is uncomfortable. This path is crowded, warm, and emotionally safe. In exchange, you remain in a constant state of proving that your presence deserves to be retained. The other path is to move forward. Here you accept that not everyone will understand you, like you, or acknowledge you immediately. You keep your own rhythm. You do not rush to merge, clarify, or reassure. You allow others to adjust to your presence instead of adjusting yourself to their expectations. This path is cold, sparsely populated, and offers no applause. No one claims the second path brings happiness. It brings positional clarity. When you no longer require continuous external feedback, you begin to see who watches you, who tests you, and who must hesitate around you. Respect does not arrive as applause. It arrives as an unusual silence, as a delayed response, as a pause before action. You do not need to announce which path you have chosen. The choice reveals itself quickly through small behaviors, how fast you reply, how urgently you explain, whether you tolerate short-term misunderstanding, whether you remain stable without validation. Each reflex is a vote you cast for your place in the social hierarchy. Being loved is a form of comfort. Moving forward is a form of separation. Neither is morally superior, but you cannot possess both at once. The moment you want to be respected before you speak is the moment you accept the cost of no longer being surrounded. No one can make that decision for you, and no one can carry its consequences on your behalf. The final blade. True respect is quiet and never asks for your consent. It appears when others begin factoring your presence into their actions, when they adjust their words before you respond, when they pause an extra beat to see whether you will speak. In that moment, there is nothing left to prove. You have become a variable in their calculation. And once you are a variable, you are no longer optional. Not everyone can endure this state. When you do not speak, do not explain, and do not seek to be understood, you also forfeit familiar warmth. You trade laughter for caution, intimacy for distance, acceptance for observation. Power always charges a price, and its price is a measured degree of solitude. No tragedy, no romance, only the unembellished cost. People often mistake silence for emptiness. In truth, silence is the condition in which you require nothing extra to exist in a space. You do not need to fill it, justify yourself, or request permission to remain. When you stand unmoved, the surrounding world is forced to recalibrate. That recalibration is the clearest signal of respect. There is no advice here because there is no universal path. There is only a cold fact: the person who causes others to pay attention before speaking occupies a different position from the one who must speak to be noticed. You will know where you stand by how the room shifts when you enter, even before a word is exchanged. And once you recognize that shift, everything else becomes unnecessary.